ప్లేకార్డులు కానీ ఈ దేవుడి బొమ్మలు కానీ చేయని అనుమతి లేదు, చేయని అనుమతి లేదు. ప్లీజ్ ప్లీజ్ ద హౌస్ ఇస్ ఎగ్జామ్ ఫర్ 10 minutes.
దీనికి ట్రాన్స్లేట్ చేసి పంపించేస్తున్నాను. ట్రాన్స్ఫర్
Honorable Chairman.
Okay. Question number 14307 is postponed at the request of the member. Remaining questions are deemed to have been answered. The House is adjourned to meet again at 10 a.m. on Monday, the 23rd day of February 2026.
मैं सिर्फ 3 घंटा आपसे मांग रहा हूं। इस 3 घंटे के अंदर मैं आपको एडवांस एक्सेल के फॉर्मूलाज के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस के साथ सिखा दूंगा। तो एक हाई पेइंग सैलरी के लिए, एक बहुत बड़े प्रमोशन के लिए आपको आना चाहिए एडवांस एक्सेल के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी का सही इस्तेमाल करना। लेकिन 10 में से 9 लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि एडवांस एक्सेल के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी को कैसे यूज किया जाए। आपकी इस मुश्किल को आसान करने जा रहा हूं। मैं सिर्फ 3 घंटा आपसे मांग रहा हूं। इस 3 घंटे के अंदर मैं आपको एडवांस एक्सेल के फॉर्मूलाज के साथ एआई और चैट जीपीटी हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस के साथ सिखा दूंगा। इस स्किल को सीखने के बाद आप बड़े से बड़े डेटा को चुटकी बजाते ही मैनेज कर सकते हो, क्योंकि आपके बदले काम करेगा एआई और सैलरी और प्रमोशन मिलेगा आपको। इस 3 घंटे के वर्कशॉप में आपकी सोचने का तरीका, रिपोर्ट्स बनाने का तरीका, फॉर्मूला यूज करने का तरीका टोटल आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के हिसाब से चेंज हो जाएगा। हेलो दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है राज सिंह। मैं एक माइक्रोसॉफ्ट सर्टिफाइड ट्रेनर हूँ। पिछले 16 सालों से मैंने 300 से भी ज़्यादा कंपनीज को ट्रेन किया है। एक दो कंपनी की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, 300 से ज़्यादा। और अगर आप लोगों की बात करोगे तो मैंने 5 लाख से भी ज़्यादा लोगों को पढ़ाने के बाद ये ऑनलाइन वर्कशॉप आपके सामने लेकर आया हूँ। ये कोई ऑर्डिनरी वर्कशॉप नहीं है कि ऐसे ही कोई भी पढ़ा रहा है। यहाँ पर पूरा एक्सपीरियंस के साथ मैं आपको प्रैक्टिस शीट दूंगा, आप उसे डाउनलोड करोगे। मैं एक फॉर्मूला आपको पढ़ाऊंगा, आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। दूसरा फॉर्मूला पढ़ाऊंगा, प्रैक्टिस करोगे। पिवट टेबल पढ़ाऊंगा, आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। डैशबोर्ड पढ़ाऊंगा, आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। मेरे साथ आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे। 3 घंटे के अंदर आपको A to Z चीजें आनी ही आनी है। सर फीस नहीं बताए, फीस कितनी है? वैसे तो नॉर्मली दोस्तों इसकी जो फीस है 2999 है, मतलब 3000 के आसपास। लेकिन अगर आप इसे अभी ज्वाइन करते हो, स्पेशली आपके लिए एक लिमिटेड ऑफर है यहाँ पर 199 रुपीज, 200 रुपए में भी 1 रुपए। आप 200 रुपए के अंदर ये सारी चीजें जो मैंने आपको बोली हैं आप सीखोगे हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस के साथ। मैं आपको इन्वाइट करता हूँ, नीचे दिए गए लिंक पे अभी क्लिक करो। दोस्तों अभी नहीं तो कभी नहीं। हो सकता है कि ये वीडियो काफी लोग देख रहे हों और वो इसे ज्वाइन कर लें और आपसे पीछे हों और आपसे आगे निकल जाएं। तो सच में करियर में सीरियस हो, एआई चैट जीपीटी सीखना चाहते हो, एक बार खुद के ऊपर इन्वेस्टमेंट करो। नीचे दिए गए लिंक पे क्लिक करो और मैं राज सिंह आप लोगों को वेलकम करता हूं अपने इस वर्कशॉप के अंदर। दोस्तों माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एक्सेल को अगर आप एडवांस लेवल पे सीख जाते हो तो आप वर्क फ्रॉम होम के लिए भी रेडी हो जाते हो। इंडिया के किसी भी कोने पे या वर्ल्ड के किसी भी कोने पे आराम से बैठकर आप इस स्किल को मास्टर कर सकते हो, क्योंकि आयरा स्किल भारत का नंबर 1 प्लेटफॉर्म आपके डोर स्टेप पे, आपके घर तक, आपके मोबाइल तक, आपके लैपटॉप तक एक ऐसा पावरफुल प्रोग्राम लेकर आ रहा है जिसको मास्टर कर सकते हो आप इस प्रोग्राम में एनरोलमेंट करके। सो दोस्तों अगर आप बेसिक से लेकर एडवांस फॉर्मूलाज को सीखते हो, इंटरैक्टिव डैशबोर्ड्स बनाते हो, वी लुकअप जैसे फॉर्मूलाज को सीखते हो, इतना ही नहीं पिवट टेबल जैसी टेक्निक को सीखकर ऐसे कुछ वैल्यूएबल रिपोर्ट्स अगर आप बना देते हो तो कंपनी आपको ऐसे काम देगी कि जो आप घर बैठे कर सकते हो। अपवर्क से लेके, फ्रीलांसर से लेके, लिंक्डइन से लेके, naukri.com पे भर भर के जॉब्स हैं वर्क फ्रॉम होम के, इवन द फ्रीलांसिंग के। किस टेक्नोलॉजी पे? एक ही टेक्नोलॉजी है, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एक्सेल। और माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एक्सेल के अंदर मैं आपको मास्टर कर सकता हूं। हेलो दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है राज सिंह। मैं एक माइक्रोसॉफ्ट सर्टिफाइड ट्रेनर हूं। पिछले 17 सालों से मैं इंडस्ट्री को ट्रेन करते आ रहा हूं। अब तक 5 लाख से भी ज्यादा लोगों को पढ़ा चुका हूं और 300 से ज्यादा कॉर्पोरेट कंपनीज के एम्प्लॉयज को मैं ट्रेन कर चुका हूं। मेरे हजारों स्टूडेंट्स, आज मैं उनको बोलता हूं कि आप फ्रीलांसिंग करो, एक्स्ट्रा सोर्स ऑफ इनकम जनरेट करो, क्योंकि एक इनकम से ना कुछ नहीं होने वाला। तो अगर आपके पास सैटरडे संडे टाइम है या आपके घर में कोई फैमिली मेंबर है जो कि वर्क फ्रॉम होम चाहता है, उसके पास अच्छी क्वालिफिकेशन है लेकिन वो जॉब नहीं कर पा रहा है बिकॉज आपके शहर में आसपास कोई जॉब की अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं है, तो MS एक्सेल एकमात्र ऐसा टूल है जिसे सीख कर आप फ्रीलांसिंग कर सकते हो, वर्क फ्रॉम होम कर सकते हो। इन सारी चीजों के लिए जितना भी मेरा 17 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है उसका निचोड़ मैं एक 3 घंटे का पावरफुल वर्कशॉप लेकर आया हूं। इस वर्कशॉप को अगर आप ज्वाइन करते हो तो इसके अंदर आप बेसिक से लेकर एडवांस फॉर्मूलाज को सीखना, इंटरैक्टिव डैशबोर्ड्स बनाना, पिवट टेबल, फॉर्मूलाज लगाना, वो सारी चीजें सिखाऊंगा जो वर्क फ्रॉम होम और फ्रीलांसिंग के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट होगा। तो अगर आप उस प्रोग्राम में एनरोल करना चाहते हो तो नीचे दिए गए लिंक पर अभी क्लिक करो, क्योंकि अगर आपने अभी क्लिक किया तो ऐसा एक धमाकेदार ऑफर दे रहा हूं जो आपको आज से पहले कभी नहीं मिला होगा। ये पूरे प्रोग्राम की फीस 199 रुपीज में आपको मिल जाएगी। तो 199 रुपीज पे करके पूरा 3 घंटे का वर्कशॉप आपका, प्लस कुछ और बोनसेस मैं आपको दूंगा। हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, आप मेरे साथ सीखोगे। मैं आपको प्रैक्टिस फाइल दूंगा, आप डाउनलोड करोगे, मेरे साथ लाइव वर्कशॉप एकदम हैंड्स ऑन सीखोगे। दोस्तों तो इंतजार किस बात का है? यही सपोर्ट और कुछ ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी का तो आप इंतजार कर रहे थे और आज ये वीडियो आपके सामने है। तो नीचे दिए गए लिंक पर क्लिक करो और मैं राज सिंह आपको मिलता हूं वर्कशॉप के अंदर।
The strategic deployment of Edge AI represents a transformational opportunity to accelerate India's technological growth while ensuring AI remains accessible across the nation's diverse socio-economic landscape. Moreover, Edge AI directly supports India's vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 and AI for all. Ladies and gentlemen, today's Power Breakfast is designed as a closed-door, insight-led dialogue, a space where leaders can exchange candid perspectives on what's working, what's not, and what it truly takes to build AI capability that delivers value at the edge. Our upcoming session is especially significant. It serves as the curtain raiser to the India AI Impact Summit 2026, a platform that will convene the country's most influential voices to define the next chapter of India's AI transformation. Our session is titled From Vision to Velocity, Scaling Edge AI for Real-World Impact, and it will explore what it truly takes to operationalize AI at the edge, where latency matters, security is critical, and performance is non-negotiable. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming President and CEO Qualcomm, Cristiano Amon, in conversation with CNBC TV 18's Managing Editor, Shreen Bhan. A round of applause for them.
We know that it is impossible to get a house full for breakfast. Cristiano Amon, you've pulled off what AI couldn't do, but thanks very much for joining us here this morning. It's great to have you join us at the India AI Impact Summit to talk all things AI. Before we talk AI, Cristiano, I want to understand from you, I read a quote of yours, something that you tell your team, that we're in the gladiator business. We have to reinvent ourselves. Speak to me about the reinvention that you see for Qualcomm in an AI era.
Well, first of all, very happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you all. Thank you for coming. I think it's not only unique to AI, but I think in general, I think the tech sector has to always be reinventing, itself. Success on a particular technology in a particular era, it does not mean that you're going to be successful in the future. So you always have to move ahead of the trends. You have to invest in the technologies that are going to become relevant in the future. You have to make bets, and I think in our history in the company, that's what we always try to do.
Well, speaking of the bets that you are making, what are you most excited about at Qualcomm today? And as you look ahead, what's on the vision board in terms of green flags? What's on the vision board in terms of red flags?
I get this question a lot, and it's a very difficult question to answer because I'm excited about many things, and Qualcomm's doing many things. If I have to compare Qualcomm probably against some of the other semiconductor companies, I think what makes Qualcomm very unique is how broad I think our technology is. We're doing chips that go from below 2 milliwatts when you use an earbud that is now connected to an agent, all the way to 2,000 watts now as we go into the data center. So I think it's kind of a unique situation, and because of that, I'm excited about everything we're doing, from personal AI devices to phones, the future of AI phones and PCs and cars and industrial robotics, and of course the data center.
Well, of course, the data centers as well, which is where you now intend to focus your energies on. But, you're most excited about the edge, and you believe that whoever has a presence on the edge has the right to win. Explain why you believe that to be the case.
And by the way, I believe that it's going to be the case. It's 100% probability that's going to be the case. Look, here's the way we should be thinking about this, because there are many things that happen with AI. And let me start explaining this thinking about consumer. There are enterprise, there are industrial cases, but consumer. I think we all been familiar with personal computers. I think we've been using them, and I think especially here in India, something that is very near and dear to Qualcomm, given our heritage in mobile. I think the smartphone is the computer that fits into everybody's hand, and that's how in India the internet develops, how the cloud develops, everything, you know, around the smartphone. But now with AI, how we interact with those computers are changing. The computer now with AI understands us. You know, it understands images that we see, understand what we say, what we write. And you see now how those computers are going to be modified by agents. And agents, they're going to be very useful if they are contextual aware. Mm-hmm. You know, an agent that is going to be, you know, the agent I'm going to be using all the time may be very relevant to me. Your agent may be very relevant to you. And that's because there's unique data that happens in the edge, where the humans are, if I'm talking about consumer. The same applies for physical AI and industrial. So in the way to think about the evolution of AI, you see a lot of activity right now to create AI in the data center. But once that AI gets created, AI is going to be everywhere. It's going to be in the data center, it's going to be in the network, it's going to be in the devices. And whoever has the ability to have the whole end-to-end is going to be very well positioned. And that's the reason I say that the edge has a very, very important role when you think about who are going to be the winners in AI. If you go back in time to the internet,
yes,
in the beginning, people thought, who's going to be the winner for maps? Was it be MapQuest? No, ended up being Google Maps. Same thing, MySpace, Orkut versus Facebook and Instagram. There's a lot of things happening. We don't know who the winners are going to be right now. There's a lot of companies doing incredible things. But when this thing gets scale, you're going to have to make it very relevant for the humans. And it's going to be what is going to be in the data center, what's going to be in the network on the near edge, and what's going to be in the edge. And everything that happens connected to the person or the machine, you have a lot of processing that's happening there. I think the best way to prove this, when you think about an autonomous driving car. If you don't have to have an instant response, you can just run the autonomy on the cloud, but you cannot do that. And I think that's going to be no different than AI. So long answer, but that's why I think the edge is incredibly important about who the winners are going to be in the AI era.
You know, I'll get back to who the winners are likely to be, but you talked about smartphones, and in the AI era that we're living in today, there are obituaries being written practically every day. Some sector is being written off. Smartphones likely to be written off, or you believe smartphones are here to stay?
Oh, smartphones are not going anywhere. Look, I always like to go back in time and see kind of what happened with technology. When we at Qualcomm create all the technology that enable you to have a computer that fits in the palm of your hand, broadband with 4G going to wireless devices, all the computing that enable you to have a high-level OS that fits in the palm of your hand, there were people that said, oh, laptops are going to be gone. Laptops are going to go away. They did not go away. You still have a laptop. I still have a laptop. Actually, the one I have is actually powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon X series.
Nicely done.
But the workload did change. The workload did change. Let's go back to the thing that I just said. Early days of social networks and Facebook, people use their laptops now. Most people are using their phones. Commerce, e-commerce, you will use your laptop to buy things online. Not anymore. The majority of the world uses phones. The laptop's the exception. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to have those new classes of mobile devices. We see smart glasses. We see things that people wear, like jewelry becomes smart. Of course, wearables become smart because now you carry the agent with you all the time, and the agent see what you see. In case of glasses, hear what you hear. And workloads are going to shift from phones to those new devices. So the phone's not going to go anywhere in the same way that the laptop didn't go anywhere, but it's going to change its usability. It's going to be doing a lot of processing for multiple devices. It's going to do phone things, but some workloads are going to go to like personal AI devices.
I thought you were going to be wearing your Meta glasses powered by Qualcomm.
I should have. I actually got it with me, but I should have.
But, you know, let's talk a little bit about India. And I think the objective and the mission that the Indian government has stated very clearly is the idea of democratizing artificial intelligence in India. How do we make that happen? And what do you believe the road ahead needs to look like for that to truly be a reality?
Yeah. Look, I am incredibly optimistic about the opportunities here in India. And I think just to be consistent with everything I said, I think in this conversation, I go back to the past. You know, if you just look when the smartphone, revolution has started here in India, if you look at the amount of data that is consumed by user, India is probably among some of the top in the world. And if you look at how fast the internet developed and how things leapfrog, into the future, especially when you think about digital payments and everything that is now happening with smartphones. When I look of AI, that's going to repeat itself in India, but it's going to be more powerful. The reason it's going to be more powerful is because AI has an incredible ability to empower people. The same way that connecting to the internet has fundamentally changed, I think, people access to information. I think AI is going to take that to the next level. How you get access to information, how you train yourself, how you get instant feedback about things, how you learn about things, how you do different things augmented by an agent, and how the entire economy of agents is going to get developed. I think India has an opportunity to be one of the fastest growing AI nations in the world.
అరే నాన్న ఆ ఫేస్ ప్యాక్ ఎందుకురా మీ అమ్మని అడుగుదాం పసుపు సున్నిపిండితో బాగా నలుగు పెడుతుంది మంచి కలర్ వస్తావు వెంటనే లింగ మార్పిడి కూడా చేయించేసుకో వచ్చే సంవత్సరం ఇదే టైంకి నా బోనస్ కూడా వస్తుంది అప్పుడు నీకు మెచ్యూర్ ఫంక్షన్ చేసేద్దాం ఆ వెంటనే నీకు పెళ్లి కూడా చేసేద్దాం మరి బాగుంటుందిరా చాలా బాగుంటుందిరా ఓ పని చేయి గాజులు వేసుకో కాళ్ళకు పట్టీలు కూడా వేసుకో ఇంకా బాగుంటుందా యాదవల్లారా
Our latest blockbuster film Little Hearts with Extended Cut, streaming now on ETV Win.
The fastest growing AI nations in the world, because there are questions being asked about the fact that we're just about getting into the LLM race. We don't have the kind of compute capacity that other countries have at this point in time. We do have the talent. That's our biggest advantage. But you truly believe that AI is going to be the fastest AI nation?
Look, let's kind of zoom out, right, and see how this is really is going to play out. If you think about the phone today, right? The phone is the most cloud-connected device in the world. And, it's also the biggest development platform ever created. And if you look about how, you have services, there are some global services, some India services going to the cloud, and you have this thing, true phones, really democratize and reaching everything. The way I think about AI, and going back to the conversation about agents being very contextual aware, I think you're going to have different models going to be developed. There's going to be global models. They're going to be Indian models. They're going to be available. But then the real value is how quickly can you deploy this across industries? How many people can you reach with the technology? How many different things? And I think that's the opportunity for India.
Well, speaking of the opportunity in India, you're putting your money where your mouth is. You've just announced a special fund for India to invest in AI-specific companies. Take us through that.
Look, we have a long history here in India. We have a significant part, I think, of Qualcomm also here in India across multiple locations in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Noida. We'll continue to expand, of course, Delhi, Mumbai. We have been here in into every transition of world, and Qualcomm has been as enabler. We are an enabler of companies. I think we provide technology, provide chips for companies to develop their products, their applications. And we believe that we've seen how that has developed over time in India, the number of startups here. And because we believe so much in the potential, I think, of the country, and how AI is going to be transformative, we are announcing, a new fund for a ventures team to invest in India startups and founders. They're really going to be building this future of AI alongside us, and I think we're excited. I think it's another step in our journey with India.
And it's not a small number, 150 million.
It's significant for startups, especially for companies that have a good idea, have a vision, and want the funds and support. And the other thing that goes beyond the funds is when we invest in some of those companies, we also help them with the Qualcomm ecosystem, access to our engineering capabilities, our development platforms, our chips. And I think when I was in the breakfast, I met CEO of companies that were actually started when a few years ago when we're just starting, and they're now becoming significant companies. I think that story is going to repeat itself with AI.
Since we're talking about an AI-driven future, one of the aspects that we need to consider is the cost. And, how much can we actually see the cost of compute being brought down? In your experience, and given what you are doing at Qualcomm, to be able to address that problem, because that's going to be a critical aspect of being able to democratize AI, so to speak. What should we realistically expect?
Yes, and I think that is the reason the edge, it's going to become very, very interesting. Look, in how we think about computing software, I think at the end of the day, I like to say that the software will find its most optimal computer, and that's where it's going to get scale. And I think we have seen this through other technology cycles. So what I believe is going to happen is as compute continue to increases, not only you have more and more capacity to run, sophisticated and very large AI models on the cloud, but you'll be able to run that in your car, in your PC, in your phone, into your personal AI devices, in our wearables, in industrial, appliances. And it's like just in a few quarters, we're going to demonstrate, devices on the edge running multiple hundreds of billions of parameter model. And when that happens, the surface area of available computing for you to run models is going to be significantly larger. And what we have seen with technology, scale is going to drive a significant reduction of cost. Can you imagine, for example, if we didn't have, the ability to scale? I think many of the technologies now we take for granted, into the smartphone. The smartphone has integrated in itself every single piece of consumer electronics technology in a single device. And if you look at the price points of some of the smartphones right now, I cannot pick of a better example, and that's going to be true for AI. That's why the edge is exciting, and I think that's incredibly exciting, the opportunity here in India.
You gave us a glimpse of what we should expect from Qualcomm. How soon before we see some of these launches?
All of those things are happening right now. First of all, the transition of what we call, the next mobile platform, which is those smart wearables that you can access an agent through our smart glasses, to a smart wearable, to jewelry that are smart and pendants, is happening right now. I believe things like smart glasses that they were running at about from the early launches, the companies that pioneered this, you have volumes in the multiple tens of millions. That's going to go into hundreds of millions very, very soon. The other thing that is happening, you started to see agents being deployed in phones, agents being deployed in laptops this year. And the other things with physical AI, you start to see development of robots, which is, I know there's a lot of interest in physical AI, but like an autonomous driving car, it's a physical AI. And you just think about how that's going to look into a robot, and that's going to be very, very similar.
I'll get to physical AI in just a second, Christian, but I want to understand from you, when we talk about the build out, and we're seeing some, jaw-dropping numbers coming in as far as the kind of infrastructure, AI infrastructure build out globally, 600 billion plus and counting. That's what the large tech companies are putting down towards that end. And the question is, one, return on investment, B, are we over-indexing on the infrastructure build out at this point in time? The other side of the story is, no, we're probably not doing enough given the kind of demand that is anticipated. The last time you and I spoke, we were talking about the supply chain constraints and the supply chain risks for the story, and we're back again now talking about memory chip shortages. So how do you look at what is playing out globally, both in terms of supply and demand?
Yes. I think there are two questions in there. Maybe I'll just go to the first one. It's very clear to us that whatever we believe AI is going to be, we're undercalling it. And I like to do this parallel when the year 2000 about the internet and the dot-com. Whatever people thought at that time, how big the internet will be, they were definitely undercalling. The internet today is way bigger than it was at that time. And I think that's true for AI. It's probably underestimated in the long run. The obvious question that I don't have the answer to is the current pace of build-out of AI will continue? Will stay at this level? Will accelerate? Will slow down? I don't know. I think what we see, however, is everybody's playing to win. People are investing to win. Maybe everyone will be a winner. Maybe there'll be a few winners. But if anything, I will just use this moment to say AI is going to be created in a data center. It's going to
AI is no longer optional. Regardless if you agree or disagree, it is part of your job to understand what AI cannot do and what AI can do to help you get better. It is important to understand how AI works in terms of software development and how you can speed up your software development workflow. Hello, my name is Valentin Despa, advancing your career today by taking my courses on Udemy.
machines. And at the end of the story, this is going to be an end-to-end story. So I think the companies that are actually understanding that and investing in that direction are probably better positioned to win. The second part of the question is supply chain. It's, we have gone through that a couple of times. If anything, the positive answer to the question is, I think we have determined more than one time, starting with the pandemic, that semiconductors are important. I think people want chips, and I'm very happy to be actually a chip company. And in a particular time, the semiconductors become more relevant. But it is an issue. The supply chain has not been tracking, I think, the speed of deployment of AI. A lot of the energy is going to the data center, and I think memory, especially the build-out of memory for the data center, is causing a global shortage of DRAM. And we just about to starting to see that in phones and in consumer electronic devices and gaming consoles. And, like every one of those crises, it takes a couple quarters, maybe a little bit more, but it's going to bounce back.
It is going to bounce back. We will have to endure some of the near-term volatility, as you point out. Physical AI, and I think, here at the India AI Impact Summit, there's a lot of talk around physical AI and what it's potentially going to do as far as industrialization is concerned. Are we close to an inflection point? I mean, every day you pick up the newspapers or you watch the news on TV or you look at Twitter, and there are comments coming in from CEOs who are leading some of these companies on how they believe that, it's here and now. But how do you look at what we're likely to see on physical AI and whether we're close to an inflection point in terms of deployment?
I think the answer is there's yes, and it's starting to get scale. Look, the way I would describe this, you know, we see it's easy for us to understand because that's how we communicate it, but you see a lot of information and a lot of activity with large language models. It's been trained on our language, and, you know, you see a bunch of different applications. But the same way that you train an AI model on language, you can train on sensor data, you can train on images, you can train on different inputs from different machines. It is the same exactly concept. The best way I can describe it, when you look at a car that has an assisted driving, even like we have built a stack that has been launched for our toolbox, that there's an AI processor over there. The training data is all the data from the road, the sensor from radars, the cameras, and you get trained on that data, and the car will drive by itself. And I think that it's already at scale, but now you're saying taking that to robots, industrial robots. You take that to machines, to motors, to computer vision in different verticals, from a retail store to a manufacturing to a warehousing, and that's getting scale. And that's particularly important for countries that are being very focused on building industrial capabilities. The new factories, and that's incredibly relevant for India, are going to be factories powered by physical AI devices. And I think that's going to get scale starting like in this year of 2026.
This year itself, you believe that 2026 is going to be the big inflection point for physical AI adoption?
I think so. We're starting to see very interesting demand from industrial applications with you know, AI at industries. And today I'll tell you, we're not limited by demand. We're limited by the time that it takes for the ecosystem to develop those solutions. That's why he gives me confidence we're really approaching an inflection point.
You know, if this is in fact going to be the inflection point as you make it out to be, what should we then imagine the future for factories to look like when we talk about human co-workers and digital co-workers and agents working together, or humanoids and humans working together? You know, again, many tech CEOs are calling about a white-collar catastrophe. Many believe that jobs as we know will no longer exist in many sectors. What do you think is likely to happen as far as the workforce is concerned?
Look, I'll first tell you the factory answer, and then I'll give you the broader answer about potential impact of AI. But factory, the use cases are endless. Like it starts from, you know, how you actually have the help of robots. I think you have a lot of robots in manufacturing right now, but, you know, a robot gets installed, it's fixed, it's associated with a particular production line. All of a sudden, you can have a robot that has wheels or legs, and it can move around to different things. That's going to change. The other thing that's going to change is how the worker can get assisted. Like, I know we talk about smart glasses for consumer. We just had this conversation. But if we put a smart glasses on a worker, like a safety glass that is smart, everything that the worker is doing, the glass is seeing, and can tell the worker, this is what you need to do next, or here you need you know, help with this information, or let me give you a template. Those things are going to happen at scale. The bigger question, it's difficult to, you know, predict the impact. I know it's a good area of conversation. Our job's going to get replaced or not. I'm going to give you my own personal experience. And I know this is going to show my age, and that's going to be the problem of me telling you this. But
don't worry about that.
Yeah. But when I started my career, and I was just coming out of engineering school, some companies at the time, you know, I was kind of, you know, I came to school, I knew how to use computers and emails and all of those things, but some companies still have like fax machines, people doing inter-office memo. You have somebody who will use a typewriter, they write the memo, put it back on the fax. All of a sudden, everything changed. We have our smartphones, we have our emails, we have computers. The whole office changed. And jobs doesn't get all eliminated. Some jobs change, but I think AI is going to be like that. It's going to be an incredibly empowering tool. It's going to change how we do things, but still going to need the humans to do it, and the humans are going to be ones using the AI on the edge.
The humans are going to be the ones using AI on the edge, as you point out. But, you know, you talked about how it's an exciting time to be a chip company. But from the challenges that you addressed, as well as the kind of demand that we're likely to see, how does chip architecture change in this era, in this environment?
That's a great question. I wish I have time. I can talk about three. I can talk about this for 3 days straight.
We should stay on for lunch, right?
Yes.
Or dinner, perhaps.
But chips architecture are changing, and they're changing. It's a dramatic change, and it's not only unique to things that we've been doing like for a long time, like phones. Is actually going to go all the way to the data center. Is going to change. The way you should think about AI is a different way for you to write software and run, I think, software, and as a result, you need a different computer machine, and there is no artificial limit about the amount of compute that you need in the devices. For example, today there's no. You look at your smartphone; it performs with the same computing power that you have on a desktop PC, and it's going to require for you to run tens, if not hundreds of billion parameters eventually on the phone. However, when you look of the architecture of a phone or of a PC, you cannot replace that with a big server, liquid cooled, with very expensive memory. You have to change the way you architecture the actual computer, the memory that goes along with that, and actually how you kind of disaggregate all the computer. We're investing in this. The architecture of computing in phones are going to change. There's going to be big changes coming for our future Snapdragon series in phones, in PCs, in cars, and that's one of the reasons we enter the data center, because we believe the data center is also going to have to change and creates opportunity for innovation.
So when can we expect some of these changes that you just gave us a preview into?
I believe devices with those capabilities are going to start, coming up in 2027. Not that far.
No, that's not far out at all. So as a CEO today, and I think, the global conversation is centered around geopolitics. It's focused around geo-economic confrontation and fragmentation. As a CEO today, what drives you to come into the office every morning and get your team rallied around the idea of trying to make AI work for everyone?
Well, we're a technology company, so we're very focused on technology. I think actually, especially for me, what drives me to come to work every day, and I'm very biased. I'm giving
in an autonomous vehicle, or
no?
Are you still driving yourself?
I'm still driving. And but especially, I'm going to tell from my perspective, and I'm very biased because I've been with this company for about 30 years, and I love Qualcomm. I come to work every day because of two reasons. I think the people that I work with and the opportunity to do new things with technology and technology that actually cause an impact. And I think the majority of people at Qualcomm does that. So geopolitics or not, I think that's our mission. We're going to continue to do that. And I think that's what we're excited about it.
आपका नाम कैनेडी है?
मुझे एक गाड़ी चाहिए और एक्सप्लोजिव्स चाहिए उस गाड़ी में।
अरे बेटा, ऊपर हमारे घर की घंटी बज नहीं रही है, ठीक कर देगा?
जी।
पर वो बजती ही नहीं है।
And before I let you go, Cristiano, your message to your team here in India, given the fact that you believe that this is a big opportunity, and I know that you've got a significant presence here in India, is the heart of innovation going to move to India?
Look, the opportunity for innovation in India is tremendous, especially because there is an opportunity, like it was done in mobile, in AI, to go where AI is going, to leapfrog into the future. When I combine the talent that exists, the energy that exists, I think the plan from the Indian government and the ambition, I think, on development with technology, I think that's a recipe for innovation. We're already seeing, actually, that's one of the reasons we have this fund for startups in India, because we believe those startups are going to be very successful. And I think as a global company, I think we want to be part of it and be on this journey with India. And our India team is very busy. As our business continue to expand, I think the opportunities for us in India are increasing.
You know, I'm going to go back to where we started, to the message to the team that, you know, you're in the gladiator business and you're here to win. So let me end by asking you exactly that. Where do you believe you find yourself on the reinvention curve today, and what are the next milestones that you hope to achieve?
Look, we're very happy with the direction the company is going. I think most will look at Qualcomm and say, oh, that's a company that is focused on wireless and is a cellular technology company. And we're always going to be that. But not many will say in the past that Qualcomm will be a leading computing company or even a leading AI company in terms of AI processors. I think that's where we are right now from a technology. We have been building, a position and scale in those new industries. And I think when we look ahead, we see this change in semis created by AI is going to be very broad. It's going to touch every single device. And we think, given our global presence in phones, now in cars, entering into the PC and industrial, I think that's an incredible opportunity for the company.
Well, Cristiano, we wish you the very best of luck with each of those milestones, and we look forward to seeing much more of you here in India, since it is a strategic market for you. And we look forward to some of those launches that you spoke of, as well as the emerging trends that you've left our audience here with. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the Global CEO of Qualcomm. Thank you very, very much for joining us here at the Qualcomm CNBC TV 18 Power Breakfast. Appreciate your time and look forward to seeing a lot more of you. The conversation is not done. We're going to continue our chat on what the AI future for India and, of course, for the world looks like. We will request you to take your seat. Cristiano, thank you so much, and call our next set of guests here. Swati, handing it over to you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
From smartphones and PCs to wearables, automotive systems, and industrial devices, personal AI is transforming how individuals work, create, communicate, and make decisions. But as AI becomes more personal, the questions become sharper. How do we balance intelligence with privacy? How do we design AI that is intuitive, secure, and responsible? And how do we ensure that on-device AI delivers tangible, real-world value, not just novelty? Our next session is titled The Rise of Personal AI, On-Device Intelligence, Real-World Impact. And it will try and explore how personal AI is moving from concept to capability and what it means for India's consumers, creators, and enterprises alike. And well, without further ado, I would like to invite our esteemed speakers for this session. Dr. Durga Maladi, EVP and GM, Technology Planning, Edge Solutions and Data Center, Qualcomm Technologies. A round of applause for him, please. Amit Chaudhary, co-founder, Lenskart.com. And Dr. Pratyush Kumar, co-founder, Sarvam AI. And to moderate this session, may I please invite back Shreen Maan, Managing Editor, CNBC TV 18.
Pratyush, in just a second, they've got their own launch happening today. So there's a lot of back and forth with that. So he'll join us in just a short while from now. Just to build on the conversation and where we left off with Cristiano and Durga, let me start by asking you, let's talk about the specific in the India context and what you're seeing happen at this point in time, but more importantly, what you believe will be the opportunities, but the challenges that we're now going to have to contend with.
First of all, thanks for having me here. And I did grow up in Delhi, and so when I heard your first remark, getting everyone here for breakfast, it is quite something. And so that was quite, it's good to be here. First of all, the amount of energy is absolutely staggering. AI is a pretty big national narrative across the globe. And as Qualcomm, as we work with different regions, one of the things that I've noticed is that every region has their own aspirations, their own unique demands as to exactly what is it that drives AI adoption and the utility of AI across a large number of ecosystems and industries. From Qualcomm, we have a pretty large presence over here, so we have a pretty good handle on the pulse of exactly where the AI narrative is emerging. The very first thing that I would argue is that increasingly there is an emphasis on larger number of language models that go way beyond some of the languages that we see. So English is, of course, English and Chinese is something that we see, but there's a lot of new language models that are coming up. That's a pretty good, interesting point. We are not a model creator ourselves. We have a unique vantage point in the industry to be able to absorb and ingest models from everywhere in the world. So one of the things that we are definitely doing is to make sure that every one of these language models that are emerging in India are baked into our platforms. And specifically looking at the future of how the device AI is coming up, we believe it's absolutely critical because that would be the best way to use that. It's often used these days, but I'd like to reuse it once again. It's what is called as the democratization of AI. Right. Literally everyone who has a doorbell, a smartphone, a PC, an earbud, rings, wearables, should be able to converse with those devices using the language of their choice, which is the natural user interface to devices. So this is one of the prime objectives that we have, ingesting those models.
And hopefully once Pratyush comes in, we'll get to chat a little bit more about that. But Amit, let's talk about what you're doing at Lenskart. And I know you're looking at the wearable space as an AI-driven future for the company as well. But to pick up on Durga's point, you know, there is the narrative and then there's the reality. Where are we on both narrative and reality? What is the deployment gap currently that we're talking about?
So first of all, thank you for having me here. Very, very interesting insights. At